It's me, Clara, the Adult Teen Services Librarian from Cold Spring, and I'm here to bring you what my comfort food is. I like to make twice baked potatoes, which you just take a normal baked potato, you're going to wash it, poke it, and then you're going to put it in the oven to cook until it's completely baked. And then I'll show you the next. So after you have baked the potatoes so that the fork goes all the way through them, you're going to cut them in half, which was what I've already done. And then you're going to use a nice sturdy spoon. And you're going to scrape out the potato, but you want to try and save as much as the skin of the potato as you can, because after we have made the regular mashed potatoes, which is I usually put in 1 stick of butter or margarine, and then maybe like a half cup of sour cream. I mash them, and then I put them back into the skins of the potatoes, which I will show you when it's done. Okay, so now that you have the mashed potatoes made, you're going to just spoon it into the skin to about as full as you can, and then you are going to want to try and flatten it because you're going to put your toppings on it when you're ready to cook it again. So in my household, we put cheese and bacon on top. And then you're going to put it in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes until the potatoes are completely warmed through, and then you got yourself twice baked potatoes. And here they are, ready to go into the oven. As you can see, my son doesn't like cheese on his. And I'll show you when they're finished. And here we go is the finished delicious potatoes.
Hi, I'm Dave Anderson, manager here at Cold Spring Branch of Campbell County Public Library, and today I'm going to make chicken tortilla soup. It's a cheese-based, broth-based soup. Really hearty, good comfort food, and the staff favorite. They ask me to make it all the time. So, I've got my ingredients lined up here. This is a really simple recipe in a lot of ways because everything's in a can or a box practically. You're just going to start with a standard box chicken broth. And you're going to do a can cream of chicken soup, can of cream of celery soup, can of cheddar cheese soup, can of Rotel diced tomatoes and chilies. I do 3 cans of chicken. You could do 2 cans. You could probably leave the chicken out and make it a vegetarian soup. Well, you'd have to leave that out too, substitute. But I do 3 cans. It's a good amount of chicken in it. You could go more if you wanted it heartier. And I do about half of this size of a bottle of salsa, because I've also already done the diced chilies. 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of garlic, and then you're going to do a teaspoon black pepper, a teaspoon of salt. All of these things are your main ingredients that are going to go into the soup, along with 1 onion and some cilantro. Then the other ingredients you have for the soup are sour cream, cheddar cheese. These are going to be garnishes you're going to put on the top, and you're going to get some flour tortillas for a garnish. Now, I buy full-size burrito flour tortillas. You can buy the little guys too and cut them into slices, because what you're going to do is you're going to take them, I've already made some here, you cut them into strips, and then you can either put them in your oven on a cookie sheet for 10 minutes, or if you have an air fryer, 2 or 3 minutes is all you really need in an air fryer. Crisps them up. You can put those on top with the cheddar cheese and sour cream as your garnish. So that's the whole set of ingredients as we go. I've got some of it set up already, so now we'll get to that. So I've gone ahead and put all of the fluids, the cream of celery, cream of chicken, cheddar cheese, Rotel, the salsa, and half or so of the chicken broth into my blender. Now what I haven't put in yet is my onion or my cilantro. I'm going to cut those up in a second. But I want to make a point saying I went ahead and put the chicken into my pot. Some people put the chicken in the blender. If you really want that chicken blended in to where, you know, it's in the soup, but you're not even going to taste the shredded chicken. It's just going to be almost minced into it. But I just put it and smash it around in the pot. So before I blend that real quick, I just have to add cilantro and an onion. Here's my favorite trick. I was well into adulthood before I knew this. My wife taught me. when I'm gonna dice an onion cross hatchways like this, right? You go this way, and you go an inch or so deep, and then when you cut, it's gonna fall off already diced. Yeah, I probably spent 20 years cooking before I knew that trick. Not everybody likes red onion. Looks like I've got some pieces in the middle there. Onion was about ready to sprout. Then the other thing I need to cut up a little bit, but I'm putting it into a Ninja blender, so it's not like I have to be super diced up, is my cilantro. I'm just gonna kind of items in this recipe. Just cilantro and onion. And I'm gonna leave out some of it for now because, again, I don't want to overpower the taste. I can test it later. I'm just gonna put this into the blender. And I'm gonna remember to put on the lid. Okay, now that's well blended. And you can see that it's a very creamy looking soup. A lot of cheese in there. I'll add that to the pot. Stir that around. Cook it. Just a good medium heat for making a soup. And then, once that's really cooked through, my cheddar cheese, my sour cream, my toasted tortilla strips for a garnish, and you've got really good, cheesy, nice, wintry comfort soup. And it's ready. Warm, hearty cheese soup. Now it's a little thin still, and that is why you garnish with a very healthy amount of shredded cheddar cheese, a handful of tortilla strips, and a squirt of sour cream. And there you go.
Hi, I'm Ann Fajita. I'm the Patron Services Supervisor at the Cold Spring Branch. When Clara asked me to make a comfort food, I immediately thought of meatloaf. I love meatloaf. I make a big meatloaf, and my favorite part of the meatloaf is the next day when I can have meatloaf sandwich. Actually, I tried to do a little history on meatloaf. There was a lot of history about meatloaf. We even had a book about it, which has a bunch of recipes in here. Some I think I'm going to try. But mine is pretty standard. The only thing different with mine is that I found a lot of the recipes had bread in them. Mine actually uses oatmeal, which a lot of people think might be strange. But that's what my mom made. And really, if you come to think about it, if you have gluten people that need to eat gluten-free, oatmeal could be your answer. So I have a pound of ground beef, fairly lean, I think it's 90%, and a pound of pork. This is actually 1.5 pounds, but doesn't really make any difference. So I have, this is about half of a large onion. I like onion. You can add more, you can add less. It doesn't really matter. It's not very picky. This is 1 egg. It looks like 2 because it was a double egg. And twins. Here's oatmeal. This is a cup. I might put in some more. It kind of depends on how things look as we progress here. A little bit of garlic. I don't measure things, sorry. I know a lot of people do, but I don't. So some garlic, some salt, again to taste. Some pepper. Now I like Lowry's seasoned pepper. It's got a little, it's black pepper, but it's also got, I don't know, red pepper, I don't know, but it's a little tastier, I think. And it's coarse ground, so. Pepper. Some Worcestershire sauce, or what we call, what's this here sauce. And then again, no measuring. I'm going to say it's maybe 2 tablespoons. And some ketchup. Again, I don't measure. Sorry. You can find plenty of recipes for meatloaf. And they might even be better than mine, so I'm gonna guess about a cup. I'm not gonna put it in there. So that, my friends, is all the ingredients. There's a lot of variations of meatloaf. As you can see, this cookbook has about 70 recipes for meatloaf. I was surprised. There's some pretty crazy things in them. Some use lamb, some chicken, and meatloaf was really, really popular during the Depression because you could make a meatloaf and kind of stretch your meat out so that you could have a little bit of meat, but it wasn't as expensive. So the best way to mix this all up is to use your hands. Okay, so this is all mixed up pretty well. And I'm gonna go ahead and put it in my meatloaf pan. You don't need to grease it because there's plenty of fat in here already. So just grab it. And that, my friends, is it. We're just gonna put it in the oven. Put it in my preheated oven, 350, medium rack. So I like to make meatloaf as my comfort food. Usually I make it on a Sunday, and I like to have some kind of potatoes with it, green bean casserole, something like that. And it's been an hour and 15 minutes. So let's take a look here. So it's all done. It does have a fair amount of grease in here. And the grease will probably absorb back into the meatloaf. Personally, I don't care for really greasy meatloaf. So I'm gonna put my squeegee in here. And I've got an old can. I'm just gonna put that in there. Except for the mess that I made. Okay. So we're gonna give it a cut here. We'll go through the middle here and just make sure that it's done. Okay, this is the finished product. And I hope you enjoy the meatloaf. We added a few mashed potatoes here just to kind of fill it out a little bit. No green beans today, sorry. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for joining us today on our comfort food cook-off.
Alright, hi, I am Danielle Turner. I am the Adult Teen Services Programmer at Cold Spring. And so for the end of the year and for the beginning of a new one, we are showing everyone our favorite comfort foods. And as someone who doesn't personally like to bake or cook very often, I'm not very good at it, I chose something kind of simple. Just simple fudge brownies. These are my personal favorites that I like to make. It's not too difficult. You only need 3 ingredients. And you can find these pretty much anywhere, any grocery store. So I'm going to be gathering the ingredients and baking them for you guys today. So let's get started. Alright, so first, gotta preheat our oven to 350. Oh, okay. Now we just have to gather the ingredients while the oven preheats. Got half a cup of vegetable oil. So we've got our ingredients in here. Now our next job is to just stir it up really well. So, bam! And Baker's Joy. Yeah. Alright, so the next step in Pernie's helping is to put the brownies in the oven and just let them bake. It says for 36 to 38 minutes, so it'll be a while. So let's see what happens. Okay, so they're beeping to tell me that their 36 minutes is up, so I'm going to get them out and see how well they're doing. They look pretty okay. But what we do, oh God, what we do is we are going to test to see if the dough or mix, I guess it is, neat little thing that we use. So we're gonna poke it around. That one's clean. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone, brownies, yay!
I'm J.C. Morgan. I'm the director at the Campbell County Public Library. Clara is our adult teen services librarian at the Cold Spring Branch, and she asked me if I would make one of my comfort foods. I will tell you that my favorite comfort food by far, I have it every Thursday night, is buffalo chicken wings. I eat them all the time. Love them, but I'm not cooking any buffalo chicken wings tonight. Sorry. I don't make them well, and I don't want to eat them unless they're good, so I am not going to make buffalo chicken wings. But if I'm making stuff for myself at home, a good comfort food that my daughters and I love is hot dogs and macaroni and cheese and pork and beans. The hot dogs, you can grill them, you can boil them. I don't care. They don't care. We like them just the same. The macaroni and cheese comes out of a box, and the pork and beans come out of a can. So I'm not going to make that tonight either, but it's a good comfort food for us. What I am going to make is a dish that's called English hot pot, which actually came out of a recipe that I found in this book that's called Look No Further. My wife had this in her enormous cookbook collection, and sometimes I'll just go through her cookbook collection and try to find something that looks good to me. Look No Further is pretty good because it has very simple recipes with very few ingredients. In fact, so one of the things I learned from that Look No Further cookbook, and I've used this a lot, now I use it all the time when I cook with cast iron. This is a 10-inch, not a camp stove cast iron. It doesn't have any legs on it. And you just coat the inside of the cast iron with butter. Or you can use olive oil, or you can use vegetable oil, but he says butter, and I like butter, so I use butter when I use my cast iron. The first ingredient I'm going to tell you about is just water. And it doesn't really take a lot of water, but you're going to pour boiling or hot water over the end result here. I'll show you how this works. But the first thing I'm going to do is just start this water boiling. Here's your ingredients. I've already showed you one, the water. This is boneless pork loin. There's about 1.5 pounds of that. This is a Yukon potato. I like Yukon potatoes because you don't have to skin them. But if you like Idaho or russet or some other red potatoes, you can use whatever kind of potato you like. I just happen to like Yukons because they're, like I said, they're easy. And then this is an onion. You're going to have 1.5 pounds of this, about 10 of these, and 4 of these. And then you're going to need, I like using a pepper grinder, so this is a peppercorn grinder and salt. And that's it. You got butter for the Dutch oven, water, boneless pork, a potato, an onion, salt, and pepper. Those are all your ingredients for this dish. When I cut potatoes, I learned this trick from my wife. What I do is I cut them in half, and then I cut them in thirds. This size potato. If you had a bigger potato, you might slice it a different way, but then I cut it across like that. And I get these nice little bite-sized pieces. Just that easy. So here's my onion. Like I said, there's 4 of these, and my wife taught me this trick too. So when I cut an onion, just leave the skin on, and I cut the top off, and then I cut the bottom off. And then I peel this skin right off from around the edge. And then I slice down into the onion about the width of the knife, all the way across. And see, you get these nice little dice pieces. These are little pieces, I'm not going to worry about them too much. But that big piece, I didn't want that much fat in there. And then there's probably a better way to do this, but I just cut off a big slice of the pork and then do kind of the same thing I did with the potato. Cut it into pieces lengthwise and then turn it and cut it perpendicular to that cut. And there you go, bite-sized pieces of pork. Alright, so now we've got our potatoes cut up, we've got our pork cut up, and we've got our onions cut up. But actually, I only used 2 onions. These were fairly large onions, and so I didn't feel like I needed to have 4. If you have 4 small ones, then you would need, if you have small ones, then you would need 4, but I had 2 fairly large onions. So here's how you make it. Just take a handful of these potatoes, and you put it in here, like so. You're just making a layer. And you're going to do the same thing with the pork. Just going to take this pork and make a layer of pork. Kind of stuck to my finger there. And then you do the same thing with the onions. Just a layer of onions right across the top of that pork and potato. Then you're going to salt. And just do this to where you think it's right for you. I'm not really measuring that out. And black pepper grinders don't put out as much as say a shaker would. So I usually go around until I've got a nice cover of pepper. You do it all again. So you start out with your potatoes. Cut. Then you do another layer of pork. Cut. And another layer of onions. Salt. And then you always want to finish off with a layer of potatoes. So there were 2 layers of potatoes. There was a layer of potatoes, a layer of pork, a layer of onions, and then another layer of potatoes, another layer of pork, and another layer of onions. Salt and pepper after each layer. And then I finish off with a layer of potatoes. Remember that water that I had boiling? So now I'm just going to pour that hot water right over the top of all of this. Just enough to cover it. So now I'm just going to put the lid on my Dutch oven. I've already preheated my oven to 350 degrees. Just going to set my Dutch oven right inside there. And I'm going to set the timer for 90 minutes because that's as high as I can go. I'm actually going to have to cook it for 2.5 hours. So after I've cooked it for 90 minutes, I'll come back over and I'll set it again for another 60 minutes. We've been cooking for 2.5 hours, and this is what we got. So you can see that my potatoes kind of brown just a little bit on top. All that water has kind of cooked itself off as it cooked, and all of the meat down underneath is going to be done. So, see? There's still some liquid down underneath there, and that's fine. And she's going to be good for eating. Yep. So I'm J.C. Morgan. I'm the director at the Campbell County Public Library, and that has been me making English hot pot. If you make it, it will be a great comfort food. Rainy, cold, winter, evening, It's awesome. Cooks for 3 hours and just fills the whole house with all those smells. Enjoy!
No way! No way! Well, accidents happen, so.